sewing friends, today I'm going to be sharing kind of where I'm at with looking at some different sewing patterns for some spring worthy blouses. I find I really like wearing blouses in the spring more so than like any other time of the year. In like fall and winter, I tend to be a little bit more like bundled up, a little bit more layered. So I do wear them, but they don't really get to be the star of the show. And then by the time we get into summer, I'm usually just wearing like dresses most of the time. So spring is really when I love to wear a blouse, and I have some tried and true patterns that generally I stick with, and I could just make those 100 times more, but I thought I would try to branch out this year. So I've pulled together some that I like, and I thought I would take you along my process and kind of pull some fabrics from my stash to kind of see what might work here and there, and maybe by the end I will be feeling ready to decide what direction I want to take my spring sewing plans this year. So of course I've got my sewing notebook here just to kind of collect my thoughts as I compare and contrast the different blouse patterns. So we're going to start off with the Madswick Beth. So this one has a really big, like very oversized, dramatic ruffle collar, as well as a ruffle down the center front button placket. I think this is so cute. And yeah, if you watched my other video about like clown core, circus core, I think this fits into that like in the best way. I really, really like it. I think it's really, really pretty. It's like, it's got delicate and feminine details, but because the collar is so oversized, it's also like a little bit playful and silly as well. This one has a couple of different puff sleeve lengths. It doesn't have any cup options, which is kind of a bummer. So I would have to do a full bust adjustment, but I should say I did check that all of these go up to at least a 60-inch hip on the body size chart measurements. So in that regard, they are size inclusive, but not all of them necessarily differentiate for different bust sizes, which is definitely my preference. So I really, really love the details on this one. The con of it is that I would need to do some extra fitting. It is tempting on some of these to actually purchase the pattern and then just kind of take like whatever details and then just apply them to a blouse pattern that already fits my body really well. So that is a consideration I'm making. This one is really cute, I think, in slightly more structured blouse fabrics. So from the sample photos I've seen, I think it's nice in a drapey fabric like a viscose, but I think it really shines more in a cotton. I think a cotton lawn would be a really nice like middle point, but I have pulled this fabric from my stash, and I think it would be really fun to play with the gingham and the ruffles. I think could definitely fall into that garden girly trend, would be really, really cute. So this is like a slightly open weave cotton. I'm trying to get one layer so you can actually see a little bit better here. So it's, what do we say this is? It's kind of like a cotton gauze, like in how loose and open the weave is. Now, I have not washed this. I've had it for over a year now, but I have not washed it yet. So it may shrink up and get that kind of like crinkly texture is what I'm predicting will happen, but I think it'd be really, really cute for a spring blouse. So next up is the Les Perlins or Les Perlines Dayscape blouse. And this one is really, really cute. I wasn't sure if I wanted like a real boxy blouse on here, but I just really, really love the neckline, and she always does really cool construction techniques. So I really like that you have this like connection point here at the high bust where you have a little strap, making that really nice, like clean square neckline with the elastic and it's either elastic or a drawstring, I'm not quite sure. But then in the back, you have this really pretty cutout with a little tie detail at the back neck. I think it is really, really cute. There's 3 different sleeve variations on this one. I am pretty sure, given that it's a pretty like crop top, I would need to add quite a bit of length to the front because again, this one does not have differential bust cups, but I think because there is some gathering here at the high bust, I don't think I would need more space across, but I would need more space like lengthwise from where, yeah, the amount of fabric my bust takes up lengthwise would need to be a little bit more. So I'd have to play around with the shaping a little bit, but that one I think would be easier than like something with a button placket where there's potential gaping, etc. So that one I think is in the running. I really like the look of the Dayscape, and for that I've picked, it's got some fluffs on it, another double gauze from my stash. This is a really smooth double gauze, though I have pre-washed this, and you can see it doesn't have that like super wrinkly, crinkly texture, but it is that really nice combination of being like drapey, but also like very airy. So it will take on the volume of those nice big sleeves, as well as like the elastic at the front and the back. So I think this could be a really good contender, and yeah, again, something really cute for spring. The next one has 1,000 variations in one pattern. Definitely a lot of bang for your buck here with the So Lala Cleo top. So this one comes with both round and V-neck neckline options, and both with or without a button placket. And then there's a bunch of different sleeve options. It has a really nice soft curved hem. And then all the shaping comes from the shoulder yoke. So you've got some gathering here, which again, no bust cup options. So the gathering should be like okay shape-wise. And again, I can just like add a little bit to the front hem, or just kind of go for like a high-low look for this one. I think that would be possible. I think that'd be really cute. Again, you can definitely go to the drapey side, which is what I have picked with a viscose. I think this one probably shines best in something with a little bit more body, like a cotton lawn, but I've got this really pretty viscose twill in this just delicious like Bartlett pear lime color that I am loving so much right now. So I think this would be really pretty. And then especially I love a button down. So I think maybe the V-neck with some green buttons on this one would be very cute for the Cleo top. Next up is the community favorite Nephaline blouse from Vivian Shao. Yeah, this one, like I said, it hasn't quite achieved like cult status, but it's definitely made its rounds through the sewing community over the last couple of years. I've seen so many cool versions. So I would say in body, it's very similar to like the Anthea blouse, only this one comes in a better size range and also has an FBA put into it. So those are definitely like practical pros. And then it also has some more fun details. So you have this nice scoop neck, but then you can put an optional ruffle in it, which I think is so, so pretty. It's not, because it's a scoop neck with the ruffle, it doesn't fall into like that stuffy Victorian style as easily because it's not a high neck. So I think that is really pretty. And then the other big statement feature is on that big giant puff sleeve, you have these really pretty pin tucks, these really nice pleats there that really just like tie it together. I think they're so gorgeous. So that is definitely toward the top of my list as it stands now. And for that one, I just grabbed a linen out of my stash. This one I've definitely seen made up in more linens. Some folks have done, yeah, drapier things like viscose and tencel, etc. But I've seen more like cotton poplin linen versions, because you really want, I think, that ruffle to crimp up really nicely, as well as those pleats on the sleeve to press really well and then really keep that nice big balloon shape. So something with a little more volume. So I have this mid-weight linen. I'd probably want to wash it a couple of times. Yeah, I have not pre-washed this yet, so it's definitely feeling a little bit stiff, but I think when I wash it a little bit more, I might even wash it with some vinegar to really soften it up and get that more like crushy, airy texture to it. So I think that's gonna be really cute. I do really love this purple color. I think it is really fun. This one is more, I think, of a spring purple than this one, but I just love purple, so it's a good choice for me. So next up is another oldie, and it's one that I've actually had in my pattern stash for like several years now, and I've never made it up, which is crazy. So it is the Pattern Scout Byrdie button up. So this comes in two versions. One is just like a regular like button-up shirt that has some really nice shaping. This one does have bust cups, which is great. It is also the only shirt I have seen that has bust cup options for a pin tuck pleated detail. And that is something that I was really looking for. I've been seeing them everywhere recently, and I really, really like the feel, the vibe. It's kind of, it feels like a little bit, especially made up in like whites and creams, like very historical inspiration, which I really, really love with the like stand collar, and then you have all these pleats for shaping at the front. So I think it's really, really pretty. So for that, I've picked a lightweight cotton from my stash. It's probably like, I would say it's between a lawn and a voile. Like it's not quite so lightweight, and it's definitely opaque. So kind of takes out of voile territory, but it's not quite as like soft and sheeny as a cotton lawn. But I definitely think it would work for this. It's going to press really, really well, which is very important for those like really long line pin tuck details for the pleats there. Yeah, I have the fabric, I have the pattern, so I could just like go ahead and make this up right now. In terms of details, this next one is a little bit more on the simple side, but I think you kind of need that. You need some options sometimes. And if everything is like a big statement piece, you got to have like some little things to mix in there. So this one is not like as fancy as maybe some of the other blouses are, but I do really like this one. This is the Itch to Stitch Galacia top. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't really know. So this one is a 3/4 length sleeve raglan with some really light gathering at the neck. This one does come with bust cup sizes. And of these blouses, this is probably the most fitted one. It has optional fisheye darts both at the front and the back for some waist shaping, which I think can be really useful. It's got a little cuff on the 3/4 sleeve. It's just like, it's nothing to write home about in terms of like detail and design, but you need like some good basics. I mean, I guess it's not quite basic, I would say, but yeah, compared to everything else, I think it is a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more simple, we could say. So for that one, I pulled this really cool cotton burnout, I suppose, or maybe this you could call it a voile or a batiste. This is like a really, really lightweight sheer kind of. It has some drape to it, and then these little checks woven in. So I think this is really cute. I also really like the idea of cutting the checks, you know, along the bias here for the raglan sleeve. I think could be really, really cute. And then it's got a facing where it will double up, so I can kind of play with like the opacity of, yeah, the neckline and then the cuff, and then everything else is like slightly sheer, which I quite like. So this is definitely a contender, the Itch to Stitch Galacia. The last one on my list is the Seamwork Cosmo. So this one has a Chelsea collar, and I just think it's really sweet. Again, this is probably on the more like simple, streamlined side. This one does come with a FBA piece, so not separate bust cup options, but there are two choices for bust shaping, and I usually fall into the curvy range for seamwork, and they tend to fit me pretty well for blouses. So this one is probably a bit higher on my list because I have used seamwork patterns before. I kind of know a little bit more of what to expect from the fit. The other thing I really like about this one has some waist shaping at the back, but rather than like fisheye darts, which is typically what you see on shaped blouses, this one just has a little string of elastic. You just sew a little casing in there and it just like whoop. And I think it echoes really nicely like the little gathering at the shoulder and the cuffs to have that really, it just like feels very unified, really cute. So for that one, I have this viscose that I've had in my stash, oh my gosh, for so many years. And It's more of like an abstract polka dot. I think could be really, really cute with that Chelsea collar. It does have a seam down the front, which is not my favorite thing. I get that you kind of need it for the V-neck, but I think what I might do instead is maybe take a page out of the Cleo book and do a little button placket down the front, because to me that looks less weird than just having a front seam. On a solid, I guess it's fine, but like with a print, I think I would want something to break it up a little bit. So adding a little button placket there should be pretty simple. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the Seamwork Cosmo. So there is one more blouse type that I have been looking for a pattern for and have not yet found it. So I really would like to sew a sailor style blouse with like, you know, the little knot at the front, and then it's kind of like a shawl collar that ends in that like squared off kind of handkerchief at the back. I have not seen a size inclusive sewing pattern for that out yet. And so this is my ask. If anyone has seen that, I would love for you to tell me about it, because I was doing some research and didn't come across it. There's one that is like close-ish, but just not quite. It doesn't have that like V-neck front that I'm looking for. So if you know of any, definitely let me know. And just generally, if you have made up any of the patterns that I've talked about, let me know what your experience was. You can influence me, de-influence me as I'm getting ready to make my sewing plans for the spring. Yeah, definitely, like I keep gesturing to the fabrics as if they are the patterns, but I think, yeah, I think you catch my drift with any of the ones that I have talked about. But also, if there's any that you would recommend, my only criteria is mainly that it is size inclusive. So on the actual size chart, it goes up to at least a 60-inch hip. And then ideally, it would come with a full bust option, if not like separate bust cup sizes or bust cup pattern pieces rather. So those are my two caveats. But yeah, if you have a blouse pattern that you love, even if you're not recommending it to me, but you're just excited about either wearing it this spring or making one soon, do let me know, because that is like another side of inspiration that I really love tapping into. I love talking to you guys about what you are up to, either what you are loving wearing or getting ready to sew or loving to sew again. So yeah, you can hit me up either in the comments below. You can go find me on Instagram and we can chat over there. But yeah, that is where I'm at for my spring sewing plans. I think I've got most of my other stuff nailed down, but I know I wanted to include a blouse, and I was like, oh, well, I can just do another Helmy blouse because I love my Helmy blouses. But then I thought maybe I should branch out, and then that was the whole rabbit hole, and here we are. So I'm gonna cut myself off now because I could talk about this forever, but I am also getting tired. So I'm gonna go and wish you a wonderful week in sewing and creativity and design and whatever you are up to. I wish you happy making. Till next time, guys. See you later. Bye.